It was, man, what a great game. And it's a great game because it was so many highs and lows in the game. And then when you think about, who we finished the game with, you got to be impressed with our young guys. I looked out there and there was, Breon Pass and E.B. Dewana, who's really a freshman but a sophomore, and then Taquavion. And, we just had so many young dudes out there and to be able to finish the game. And even Sebron being a sophomore, I thought he did a great job finishing the game. And then Thomas Allen, who didn't play a lot, obviously played well. That being said, we're excited. Our next opportunity is it just happens to be a conference game, and we have a really, really talented Louisville team that's coming in, and they're tough. They play hard. They're a defensive-minded team. They play 9 or 10 guys who can really score. I think the most minutes that anybody plays is about 27. That's probably Noah Locke, who's their leading scorer. But they've got depth. They can score in a lot of ways. They're playing a lot faster than they've played in the past. And it's a really good basketball team in their early season. They got some great wins when you talk about what they did over in Bahamas and beating Mississippi State and Maryland. And so it'll be a really tough matchup for us, but we're excited about playing those guys.
Go ahead, Joe.
Coach, you talked about the coming out the 4 overtime game. What's the last couple of days been like? I know you want to kind of get the guys their rest because their legs are gone, but you probably also want to get on the court to prepare for Louisville. So how have you balanced that in the last couple of days?
Yeah, I didn't, Jonas, is crazy as coaches. We sometimes have plans and then those plans get blown up. I didn't have intentions of going into 4 overtimes. We did have intention of playing hard and winning the game. We were scheduled to practice yesterday at 2:30. And what we did is we actually got them over and we watched a lot of film. We didn't actually take the court. And so we spent about an hour, going over, the good, bad, and ugly, from our game against Nebraska. And then obviously we turned our attention to watching some stuff on Louisville and going over personnel. And so it was more of a, instructional day off the court.
And obviously Louisville realizes you guys went into 4 overtime. Do you expect them to kind of pick up the pace and throw more bodies at you guys to kind of try to wear you guys down early?
I think they're going to play their strengths, Jonas, at this point. I think as coaches, sometimes we overthink everything, and, they're probably looking at it. They traveled and came back home. I'm not even sure what they were able to do yesterday. And so I'm sure they're just going to come out and play, Louisville basketball as we're going to play NC State basketball.
Go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, Kevin, you mentioned kind of having some of the young guys, some of the new guys in. How much does it help to have, these 2 games, this Nebraska-Louisville stretch, both be at home for those guys to maybe kind of get acclimated to it in front of a friendly crowd?
Well, I think it helps. When you think about this, couple of our guys, that was their second Power 5 game. We played against Oklahoma State earlier, but it does help to be at home. To play a couple of these games earlier. I thought our fans and our students, they were a big part of our success in helping us win that game. We had a little boost, especially when things got going, but it does help having a chance to play at home opposed to on the road to start the season.
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, Kevin, you guys got a pretty young team. Do you worry about the guys that have probably gotten a lot of pats on the back over the last 48 hours? Do you address that with this young team and let them know that it's time to get back to work, I guess? Yeah, we talked about yesterday turning the page. We talked about, hey, you only got a short time between the times that we play a game and the next game to celebrate. And our celebration was probably from 11 to probably 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock the next day. Now we had to get past that. We've got to move on and prepare for a really good Louisville team in your ACC opener.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, Kevin, do you have an update on Casey's status?
Yeah, we did a MRI, and luckily there was no break. He has an ankle sprain. He will be a game time decision. We'll be able to look at him today and before the game tomorrow to decide whether he's going to be able to play or not.
And just to follow up, EB played a ton of minutes obviously had the blocks, but I think he only had 3 fouls in that game. Just talk about his ability to defend the rim for you without fouling, playing that much.
Yeah, I thought this was one of his better games, and that's good to say because we played on our short season. You want him to improve every game. I thought he affected the game in a lot of positive ways. I think I joked about this. I think he's been watching some of Manny Bates' tapes where he's been able to block shots, but he's getting better. He's still going to have some ups and downs because he's so young. But at the end of the day, he's doing a good job for us, and we're proud of his growth and development, and we hope that it continues throughout the season.
Go ahead, Chappell.
Hey, Coach. What are some memories or stories that stand out to you from recruiting Darian Sebron to NC State a few years ago?
Well, what we always have like, Darian, he was at a prep school, Massanutten Military. And when you get a guy, I spent all of those years, 12 years at Hargrave Military Academy, you know that you're getting a guy who's had to go through some type of routine and some type of schedule and obviously have some discipline. I think that was one of the biggest things. But he's always been a quiet kid. It's funny, the times we've recruited him, it's the same as he is now. You never see him get too high. You never see him get too low. And I think that's what helps him become have become a really good basketball player because, you very seldom, he may give you a half flex, but he ain't gonna give you one time, he ain't gonna jump in your face about it. I'm getting on him about doing certain things and he's looking at me, but he's very respectful and he nods his head at you. I think more than anything, I knew that I was he's come out of his shell more so than we recruited him. On a recruiting visit, it was one of the weirdest visits because the kid really never said anything. So you had no idea if he really liked you or not. That being said, he and I developed a great relationship. He felt like this was a great place for him, but he would be one of the best poker players if you ever put him in a game.
And the way he's breaking out so far across your years, where does that kind of rank in terms of the biggest jump in terms of like points per game or just overall play that you've seen? Anybody else come to mind?
Well, it's hard to the way he's playing is unbelievable. You're not going to find anybody unless they came off a major injury that will have stats as he does from one year to the other. That being said, he was a big part of last year's run when we won those 5 games at the end, 5 in a row, and he's played in a lot of games. He gave you guys glimpses of who he could be. When you look back at the Wake Forest game at Wake Forest and then Notre Dame at Notre Dame, I think those were his 2 breakout games. I don't think anybody could imagine that his numbers will be where they are right now. I thought he could be, coming into this year, a guy that could be 12 or 13 points and possibly take the jump to maybe, 6 or 7. We needed him to be that guy, but he has played really, really well early. And a lot of that goes to, what he's done in the weight room, his confidence, he believes. Last year he was getting some of those same shots, but he wasn't finishing. He was creating shots at the rim and kind of trying to scoop shots underneath the rim. And now you don't see that. He's actually playing through contact and he's getting to the free throw line just as much as anybody in the country.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Coach, because you had to play so many young guys early, people say that young guys, they don't know what they don't know. Is that a good thing that they don't know that they're supposed to step it up a notch this week? They don't know that 4 overtime games aren't normal. They're supposed to be tired. Is that kind of good for those guys to have that mentality moving forward?
Jonas, our young guys, man, they were tremendous because they rose to the occasion. They made a lot of mistakes. Let's not ignore that. But at the end of the day, they came out and played, and they didn't know that they wasn't supposed to be in that game at the end of the game. And even though they made mistakes, you think about this, Breon had a great finish. He had a great rebound. He had a great shot to win the game in one of those overtime. And Taquavion, who quite frankly couldn't make a shot, couldn't buy a shot, missed a couple free throws, he stepped up and made a huge 3-pointer on that right wing. Those guys are fearless. They have no idea what type of game they were playing in. They were just out there hooping. And that's what they say. We were just hooping, coach. And, give them credit. I thought they stepped in, and even the EB, he got better as the game went along. You could tell his confidence started getting better. He blocked 1 or 2 shots, and then at the end of the night, you realize he had 8 blocked shots, and we challenged him to rebound the basketball. I think he had 7 of them. But he also played really good on the defensive end, that stuff that you don't get a chance to see on the stat sheet.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you.